Hi, I'm Joe Revita from Empire Music, empiremusic.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we are Taylor Guitars' online preferred dealer, one of only a handful in the country. And we bring you great Taylor guitars, like this new Taylor 417e-R and Tobacco Sunburst. Now, if you're watching this currently, when we release it, which is early spring 2023, this is a new model. We did a brief introduction to the revamp of the 400 series, and this is part of that revamp. And this is actually a brand new model that Taylor hasn't offered in the past, which is really exciting. We sold out of the initial guitars immediately, so I didn't get a chance to do a video right at launch. So got them back in, and here we are. The 417 offers a solid spruce top Sitka and solid East Indian rosewood back and sides, and that is definitely a story. I think the story about this guitar, though, is the body shape. The 17 stands for Grand Pacific, which is Taylor's slope shoulder dreadnought. This is really kind of like, to me, the standout in the revamp, and the guitar it's like most exciting as part of the launch. You can see it right at empiremusic.com. Remember, we do full factory setups and everything we sell. We dial your guitar in, whether it be in store or most of you online. We do a full factory setup, dial it into the factory spec, make sure it's exactly as it should be when Taylor does final assembly, and we send it to you professionally packaged. So we take the time to do it. You can see all the photos. You can chat with us through the site, financing, hit us up. Now, the Grand Pacific model has been kind of like a tough one to wrap our heads around, because when we look at this guitar, what do we think? We think a classic big dreadnought sound. And I like to, in the videos that I do, talk about who it might be for, who it might not be for. This guitar is not, if you were like, hey, I want to sound like a Martin D28. It's not a D28. And every time we compare any brands out there that have kind of like body shapes, we always try to do this, like, hey, is it a kind of like a Fender-y type of this, or a Martin-y type of that, or a Taylor? That's not what we're at here. So if you want one of those other classic designs, definitely get one. They're great. We saw them. They're awesome. What makes this guitar special is the Taylor slope shoulder design is a big dreadnought that gives you Taylor's take, Taylor's focus, Taylor's definition, Taylor's clarity, Taylor's sustain in this body shape. And once you get that kind of like as part of your thought process, this guitar becomes extremely intriguing, like all the Grand Pacifics really do. V-class bracing, which allows for, I think, way more balance and sustain than the X-Brace Taylors before it. And you get this fullness. What's Taylor's kind of staple? It plays easier than everything on the market. Check. This is true. And then we get unbelievable string separation, note clarity, definition. Also true. But then you get kind of the power of the body shape, which is a classic body shape. It's a very comfortable guitar. Dreadnought guitars kind of, I think in some instances, get weeded out by those because it feels clunky. It's obviously bigger than the grand concerts and a little bit bigger than the grand auditoriums, but it just does feel very natural in your hands. The other big advantage of a Taylor, I think, Grand Pacific body shape, like their dreadnought, is that it's going to be more versatile, I think, than the more classic designs. What I think Taylor's spectacular at is their small guitars play bigger, and their bigger guitars can play smaller, meaning that we don't have to bludgeon this guitar to get great tone out of it. The V-bracing is extremely, extremely responsive, so we get amazing tone with a light touch, but you obviously have the overhead and the power that when you want to dig into it, it pushes all that tone out. It gives us a massive amount of output. Ebony fingerboard and bridge, which is staple. We have mahogany neck. Obviously, the Taylor Expression System 2, beautiful new. I think they're called finial inlays as an Italian acrylic. Obviously, hard shell case, made in El Cajon. So it's a USA-made all solid wood instrument to kind of clear that air there. Now, when I like to do my videos, I like to do two things. I like to show dynamic range, and I like to show the mids of the guitars, because I think these are areas that are imperative. If we're going to purchase an instrument, what needs to stand out? I think the guitar needs to sound good at different inflection points, and we have to make sure it fits the capacity in which you're going to use it. How hard or light are you going to play? Is it going to sound good in those types of attacks? And then the middle of the guitar, because anybody can make a bassy guitar. There's bassy $200 guitars. It's like the trick is, when we hear this guitar through the mids, are the mids responsive? Can we hear all the notes? And this is Taylor's, I think, like guiding force, is outside of the easy playability. Their tone, when you buy any guitar, whether you buy their guitars that are deemed brighter, their Koas and Maples, or their bassier guitars like the Rosewood, the balance is impeccable, and it's really, really an exciting part of playing their guitars. So let's go ahead and do the dynamic range, and then we'll do the mids. This guitar's lights out because, let's start with the strumming. A guitar this big should not sound that good lightly played. That is an anomaly in the marketplace. There's no doubt about that. The fullness of the top end notes when you're playing light is stunning. I mean, it's really, really impressive. If you think about how just the basic function of a guitar, like we strike a string, which makes the top vibrate through the braces and pushes air down and out, right? So a lot of energy has to be created to create tone and the sound that you hear. And here, when you just barely touch the instrument, it is moving against your body. And that's a very important feeling you should have when you're buying a premium acoustic. You should feel it vibrating. It should be moving. And this, I mean, with a very light touch, you feel it kind of pulsing the back of the guitar against your body. So really, really impressive there. Then at the other end of the spectrum, when we start to really push and strum hard, much harder than I typically would play personally, what do I notice? Yeah, that bass is just that pounding bass, but it stayed in its lane. And I think this is the other kind of like the tricky part, right? It's bass is great until it's the only thing you hear. And I think that's something that really separates this instrument versus a lot of other dreadnoughts on the marketplace is, yeah, we get a bottom end, but if we were recording this guitar or we were playing this guitar with other people, that bass would be very full sounding, but it wouldn't be some sludgy mess that would kind of like eat the overall tone of the instrument. So A+ on that stuff. The middle of the guitar, what can I say? Like Rosewood, for back and sides like this guitar, has characteristically extra bass, extra treble, and compressed mids. So this should be the worst sounding midsy guitar in terms of its output. And realistically, something that I will tell you to go do. Go, if you're not local, if you play your buddy's guitar, go to a guitar shop, play a Rosewood Dreadnought guitar. Everyone goes, oh, it's gonna be really warm. And I see this all the time in here, and people go, oh, it's kind of bright, it's kind of tinny is the word we'll hear. And at many different price points. Because what happens is you have this overwhelming bass, then the mids are just kind of compressed, you don't get a ton, and then you get excited trebles and they just smack you in the face, and it kind of sounds like really, really aggressive. What did I notice here? Since the mids are more present, when you strum through, it's more pleasant coming through the top of the instrument, right? We don't get that smash of glass. You know what I mean? It's just like, so yes, there might be more bass heavy guitars out there. I don't know if I'll push back on what warmer means. I mean, warm is a subjective experience. Bass is something that's measurable. And there might be plenty of other guitars out there that create maybe more bass. Ultimately though, that's one feature. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's kind of like if you have the fastest car, but it breaks the slowest. That might be a negative, that even though fast is something you want, if it takes you twice as long to stop, you know, like that, you have to take everything in context in the ultimate design of the item. Well, here, you're getting the characteristics, but it's in Taylor's, like really you can tell Taylor's designs all over this. It gives you their DNA of the amazing response, super defined, clean sounding instrument with the boomier bottom end, the bigger output, but you still keep the beautiful balance and that pleasant top end that is very distinct and would cut through a mix. So if you're like a bluegrass player and you kind of want Taylor's take on this, yeah, this will cut through other guitars, no problem. It's just not going to shrill. You know, it's just like, it's not going to make your ears bleed, which is a major bonus. So what I would love for you to do is give us a shout right here at Empire. You can check us out at empiremusic.com. You can see the photos of every guitar we have in stock, no stock photos. We actually do a full factory setup. I don't care where you buy a guitar, you'll get an inspection. You can buy from, you know, direct from the manufacturer now. They don't touch the instrument before you get it. Here, we're gonna dial it in and make sure it's perfect for you, right exactly as factory spec, professionally package it, get our hands on it and make sure it's the exact way the guitar should be. And we'll help you make sure you get the best Taylor guitar. So check out empiremusic.com. You can chat with us through the site. We, of course, have financing. Call us 412-343-5299. If you dig our content, please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. I'm Joe from Empire Music, empiremusic.com in Pittsburgh, with the Taylor 417e-R in Tobacco Sunburst that's new for 2023. Thanks for watching.